Something extraordinary is unfolding. Donald Trump is brandishing the biggest tariff threat in modern history. A promise to slam every BRICS nation with duties as high as 150% if they dare chip away at the United States dollar. And the world is listening. The BRICS bloc now represents almost 2/5 of humanity and roughly 1/3 of global output when measured by purchasing power. Their steady march toward using local currencies and even planning joint payment systems has rattled Washington's long-standing faith in dollar primacy. Trump's answer is blunt force, enormous tariffs, bigger than anything seen since the Great Depression. A club meant to keep the dollar on top. Yet these tariffs arrive at a moment when the BRICS are already loosening their ties to the greenback. China and Brazil settle much of their trade in yuan and reais. India buys Gulf oil in rupees and dirhams. And more than 9/10 of trade between China and Russia now happens in rubles and yuan. Each agreement may look small, yet together they carve thin but spreading cracks in the dollar system. Add to that the BRICS Development Bank, a shared emergency fund, and talk of a digital or commodity-backed currency someday, and you get a picture of governments actively planning life beyond the dollar. Trump argues that such plans are nothing less than an existential threat, and he vows to make leaving the dollar impossibly expensive. In early spring, he raised the average United States tariff to about 27%, the highest in more than 100 years, and singled out Chinese goods with duties near 145%. Now he warns all BRICS exporters that even a whisper of a new currency could trigger a 150% wall. These duties would triple prices the moment goods hit American ports, shredding profit margins and reshaping supply chains overnight. But tariffs are taxes in disguise, and American consumers pay them first. Economists at the Peterson Institute ran the numbers and found that even a 100% levy would slice roughly $432 billion from United States output within 4 years and push domestic inflation up by about 1.6 percentage points. A 150% levy would bite even deeper. Prices of electronics, clothing, machinery, and countless everyday items would surge. Companies that rely on parts from BRICS countries would scramble or shut down. Farmers would lose big foreign markets if retaliation follows, as it surely would. Financial markets have already flinched. When Trump announced the initial broad tariff hike, United States stock indices dived within hours, and bourses from Frankfurt to Shanghai followed them lower. Investors worry less about any single duty and more about a chain reaction, tit-for-tat measures, supply shortages, commodity bans. China has already limited exports of rare earth minerals vital to smartphones and renewable energy gear. Russia could tighten energy flows. India could favor regional partners over American suppliers. Each response chips away at Washington's leverage and nudges more trade into non-dollar channels. Even so, the dollar today still dominates global finance. It accounts for the great majority of central bank reserves. It prices most cross-border invoices. And it anchors safe haven flows when turmoil rises. Recent strength in the United States economy and higher interest rates have drawn fresh capital, not less. In the near term, tariffs may paradoxically push more money into dollar assets as investors seek shelter. Yet long-term dominance hinges on trust, on the belief that the United States keeps markets open and rules predictable. Weaponizing access, whether through sanctions or punishing tariffs, can erode that trust. Countries burned once begin building alternatives for next time. For the BRICS, the path away from the dollar remains long and complicated. Their economies and politics differ wildly. Coordinating a shared currency would require ceding monetary control, something none of them is eager to do. Most trade financing worldwide still depends on the dollar, and building a rival network costs time and billions. Nevertheless, every aggressive move from Washington supplies fresh motivation to keep going. If tariffs choke exports, BRICS leaders will look to each other, to Africa, to Latin America, to deepen South-South commerce where the dollar plays a smaller role. Inside the United States, voices across the political spectrum are uneasy. Business groups warn of supply shocks. Labor unions fear lost jobs when foreign buyers retaliate against American goods. Even many free trade skeptics balk at blanket tariffs that function more like collective punishment than targeted leverage. Yet the White House stance is unbending. Officials frame the fight as a necessary stand for national security, arguing that surrendering currency leadership would doom the country to weaker growth and a loss of sanction power. In that narrative, painful tariffs are a price worth paying to defend the dollar's throne. History offers caution. In the 1930s, the Smoot-Hawley tariff raised duties on thousands of imports and sparked a spiral of retaliation that deepened the Great Depression. World trade collapsed by more than half within 3 years. Today's global economy is far larger and more intertwined, meaning the collateral damage could be larger still. Unlike 90 years ago, supply chains span continents, and goods often cross borders many times before they reach a store shelf. Tripling duties on one link disrupts the whole chain, risks shortages, and raises costs. Meanwhile, America's friends in Europe and Asia are watching closely. The European Union is itself exploring more euro-denominated energy trade after years of bracing for secondary sanctions. Japan and South Korea count on Chinese factories and Russian energy. If they fear being caught in tariff crossfire, they too may widen their currency options. The dollar's supremacy has never rested on muscle alone. It stands on a foundation of open commerce, deep capital markets, and credible policy. Undermine those pillars and the system may hold for years, but cracks will grow. So does Trump's tariff threat achieve its goal? Early evidence says it hurts the BRICS, but also strains the United States and the wider world. It pressures Beijing, Moscow, and New Delhi. Yet it also unites them in seeking alternatives. It protects certain domestic industries, yet burdens countless others with higher costs. It shows resolve, yet signals unpredictability. Most important, tariffs cannot force a country to love a currency. They can only punish it for leaving. If the penalties become unbearable, nations will adapt, build new routes, trade more with regional partners, settle in yuan, rupees, dirhams, or even gold. The process will be messy and gradual, not a sudden switch. But each step will make the dollar a little less central. The future is still unwritten. Perhaps the tariff shock will prompt behind-the-scenes deals where BRICS ease up on de-dollarization plans in exchange for lower duties. Perhaps an incoming Congress, business backlash, or court ruling reigns in the levees. Or perhaps the confrontation drags on for years, driving the emergence of a genuinely multipolar monetary world. What is certain is that the tariff gamble is among the boldest economic bets any modern president has made. A high-stakes attempt to freeze history at a moment when global power is already tilting. In the end, the United States dollar rose to dominance not through coercion alone, but through an open, trusted system that others chose to join. Confidence built over decades is hard to erase, yet it is also hard to rebuild once shaken. Trump's 150% tariff threat may shield the dollar for a season, or it may accelerate the very shift it seeks to stop. The coming months will reveal whether blunt tariffs can truly preserve American financial leadership, or whether they will mark the tipping point that drives the world toward a new monetary era. Either way, the voyage has begun, and the global economy is bracing for the waves.